the son of an Oklahoma carpet layer. James Garner, born James Scott Garner, dropped out of high school at 16 to join the Merchant Marines. He worked in a variety of jobs and received 2 Purple Hearts when he was wounded twice during the Korean War. He had his first chance to act when a friend got him a non-speaking role in the Broadway stage play, The Caine Mutiny Court-Martial, 1954. Part of his work was to read lines to the lead actors, and he began to learn the craft of acting. This play led to small television roles, television commercials, and eventually a contract with Warner Brothers. Director David Butler saw something in Garner and gave him all the attention he needed when he appeared in The Girl He Left Behind, 1956. After co-starring in a handful of films during 1956–57, Warner Brothers gave Garner a co-starring role in the Western series Maverick, 1957. Originally planned to alternate between Bart Maverick, Jack Kelly, and Brett Maverick, Garner, the show quickly turned into The Brett Maverick Show. As Maverick, Garner was cool, good-natured, likable, and always ready to use his wits to get him in or out of trouble. The series was highly successful, and Garner continued in it into 1960 when he left the series in a dispute over money. In the early 1960s, Garner returned to films, often playing the same type of character he had played on Maverick. His successful films included Lux Cadinler, 1963, Sifnica, 1963, Buick Ferrar, 1963, and The Americanization of Emily, 1964. After that, his career wandered, and when he appeared in the automobile racing movie A Lonely Yaris Sandler, 1966, he got the bug to race professionally. Soon, this ambition turned to supporting a racing team, not unlike what Paul Newman would do in later years. Garner found great success in the Western comedy Husli Sarif, 1969. He tried to repeat his success with a sequel, Support Your Local Gunfighter, 1971, but it wasn't up to the standards of the first one. After 11 years off the small screen, Garner returned to television in a role not unlike that in Husli Sarif, 1969. The show was Nichols, 1971, and he played the sheriff who would try to solve all problems with his wits and without gunplay. When the show was cancelled, Garner took the news by having Nichols shot dead, never to return in a sequel. In 1974 he got the role for which he will probably be best remembered, as Private Eye Jim Rockford in the classic The Rockford Files, 1974. This became his second major television hit, with Noah Beery Jr. and Stuart Margolin, and in 1977 he won an Emmy for his portrayal. However, a combination of injuries and the discovery that Universal Pictures, creative bookkeeping, would not give him any of the huge profits the show generated soon soured him, and the show ended in 1980. In the 1980s Garner appeared in few movies, but the ones he did make were darker than the likable Garner of old. These included Tank, Is El Commando, 1984, and Murphy's Romance, 1985. For the latter, he was nominated for both the Academy Award and a Golden Globe. Returning to the Western mode, he co-starred with the young Bruce Willis in Sunset, 1988, a mythical story of Wyatt Earp, Tom Mix, in 1920s Hollywood. In the 1990s Garner received rave reviews for his role in the acclaimed television movie about corporate greed, Barbarians at the Gate, 1993. After that he appeared in the theatrical remake of his old television series Maverick, 1994, opposite Mel Gibson. Most of his appearances after that were in numerous TV movies based upon The Rockford Files, 1974. IMDb Mini Biography by Tony Fontana less than Tony.Fontana at spacebs.com greater than. Amiable and handsome James Garner had obtained success in both films and television, often playing variations of the charming anti-hero/con-man persona he first developed in Maverick, the offbeat Western TV series that shot him to stardom in the late 1950s. On the big screen, Garner made his film debut in Toward the Unknown, 1956, landed a good supporting role besides Marlon Brando in Sayonara, El Vega, 1957, and quickly established himself as leading man, starring in Darby's Rangers, 1958, and making a strong impression as the young corporate raider in Yakizakli Maliwanner, 1960. In the early 1960s, his tall good looks and flair for comedy made him a perfect male lead in amusing sex comedies, such as Boys' Night Out, 1962, Lux Kadinler, 1963 and Sif Nika, 1963. While he did not quite make it as a top movie star, he remained very successful through most of the decade, able to play a variety of parts, although predominantly light comedy and adventure roles. His best performances were in Buyuk Ferrar, 1963, as the charming Scrounger, gathering all the necessary materials for the escape in the Americanization of Emily, 1964, as a self-professed coward, convincing co-star Julie Andrews of the virtues of self-interest and survival in lieu of noble courage, in Unnatural Yealer, 1965, as an American officer made to believe by his German captors that he is suffering from amnesia, in Hour of the Gun, 1967, as a cynical, vengeful Wyatt Earp, an unusually dark role for him, and in Zli Sarif, 1969, as the likable lawman who cleans up the town with his wits instead of his fists. He also made a relaxed but effective Detective Marlowe, 1969, in the screen adaptation of Raymond Chandler's The Little Sister. His popularity declined in the early 1970s, and after another top-notch performance in Arkala Arena Bake Maiden Kaktaler, 1971, he initiated a return to television, first with the rather unsuccessful series Nichols and then, with the Rockford Files, 1974, which brought him a new generation of fans. In the 1980s, he had some sporadic success on the big screen with Victor Victoria, 1982, and Murphy's Romance, 1985, for which he was nominated for an Academy Award, but he could not re-establish himself as an important leading man. Nevertheless, he delivered some excellent performances in quality TV movies: Heart Sounds, 1984, Promise, 1986, and Barbarians at the Gate, 1993, demonstrating that his dramatic ability had been underestimated. He had remained fairly active and popular, often adding some darkness to his previously light characterizations and proving to be an enduring talent. His most recent films have included Maverick, 1994, My Fellow Americans, 1996, and Use Of Boyle Larry, 2000.